I'm Mark Hollen, and I'm the Executive Director of the Government Accountability Project. And I have the pleasure and honor of introducing our next speaker, a true champion of federal employees and open and accountable government. And as we ramp up our efforts to get a best practices piece of federal whistleblower law, it is truly very comforting to know that we're teaming up with a leader who's not only reliably on our side, but one who knows how to win. In 2002, then Maryland State Senator Chris Van Hollen set his sights on a congressional seat from the Maryland suburbs of DC. To win the Democratic nomination, all he had to do was to defeat a member of the Maryland House, Mark Shriver, son of Sergeant and Eunice Kennedy Shriver, nephew of President John F. Kennedy. Clearing that primary hurdle, he then had to face the hugely popular 7-term incumbent Connie Morella. And this was a year in which Republicans picked up 8 seats in Congress. And Chris Van Hollen won that seat from the 8th Congressional District, bucking the political tide and the prevailing winds. Representative Van Hollen's legislative savvy and political talent quickly came to light to Democratic leaders and members of Congress. In 2008, he chaired the campaign for Democratic Congress members in the House, and there was a pickup of 21 members for the Democrats. And I don't say this for any partisan reasons whatsoever. The point here is simply Chris Van Hollen knows how to win. In his 4th term now, he's the special assistant to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. And for our purposes, more importantly, he walks the walk for honest government, for the public's right to know, and for employee free speech. And in this past session, he co-sponsored with Republican Todd Platts a bill to include true accountability in the stimulus bill. And he completely, and we completely, succeeded in the House. We got a half a loaf in the Senate, so we're pretty hungry still. And we are counting on our good friends like Congressman Van Hollen to complete the job this year. So Congressman, on behalf of the Make It Safe Coalition, I am pleased to present to you the 2009 Public Servant Award for your leadership in creating accountability in the stimulus bill through protecting whistleblowers.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a particular privilege to be here with Mark Cohen. Thank you very much for those kind words. For those of you who don't know Mark, if you want to get an example of a good TV show that serves the public interest and helps provide the citizens, at least of our community, with information on what's happening both there and at the federal level, make sure you tune into the Coffee House show if you live in Montgomery County on cable TV.
Chris, I should say, Chris, can I interrupt you?
Sure.
We now have another TV show called Whistleblower Work that is produced by the Government Accountability Project.
Oh, good, good. All right. That sounds good to me. To Stephen Cohen and Ted Devine and everybody who's been part of this effort, and all of you who have been out there steadfastly moving this cause forward, I really thank you. My hat's off to you. We are going to prevail in the end. We're going to get the job done because we have the justice on our side in this argument. I think all of you know that what we're doing is based on a very simple principle, right? It's based on a very simple principle. It's trying to make sure that those people who expose and report wrongdoing are not punished for telling the truth. It's as simple as that. And we all need to make sure that we pass legislation to protect people who do that, whether they're in the national security field or in the domestic area. In fact, in the idea of sort of saying that national security whistleblowers don't need protection is absurd on its face, because these are people who are dealing with our national security issues, and you would hope that we would welcome the notion that somebody who detects wrongdoing in a national security agency or fraud or abuse, waste of taxpayers' dollars, would feel free to come forward and report that, because it could be that obviously national security interests are at stake in something that affects all of our national security. And the notion that people who work for contractors somehow should not be protected also doesn't make sense, especially because we know that so many contractors, of course, in the business of doing work that's contracted out by the federal government. So if we accept the notion that federal employees should have whistleblower protections for exposing wrongdoing, it makes no sense to say you're not going to extend similar protections to people who are doing work contracted out by the government. And when it comes to other issues that aren't just dollars and cents issues in the narrow sense, but things like this integrity of the scientific process, it also makes sense that you provide some protection for people who say, listen, we just discovered that they've changed the report that was put together by scientists, and they changed it at the behest of some special interests. Again, we want to protect the public interest. So again, the principle that runs through all of these cases is it's important to, number one, not punish people for telling the truth, and in fact, we need to encourage people to tell the truth, because telling the truth is in the interests of our citizens and clearly in the interest of taxpayers when we're talking about ferreting out waste, fraud, and abuse. So I really salute all of you for what you're doing here. It was great to team up with Todd Platts in a bipartisan effort to pass the legislation in the House as part of the $790 billion economic recovery bill. There were a few people who said, really, you shouldn't be putting this provision on this bill. It doesn't belong here. Our response to that was, if it doesn't belong on a $790 billion bill, where does it belong? I mean, after all, if we're going to be spending that kind of money on behalf of the American people, we should make sure we're protecting the taxpayer. As you know, there were provisions in there related to state and local government employees to provide additional protections, and we thought we should, of course, also provide added protections for federal employees at the same time. I mean, why would we be only worried about exposing abuse at the local and state level and not making sure that we protect those who reveal waste, fraud, and abuse at the federal level in stronger terms? So we are going to keep this fight going. I want to also thank Congressman Waxman for his long efforts in this area. Of course, we had this bill in the House last year, and it passed the House. It has now passed the House twice, this last time by unanimous consent, meaning nobody got up and opposed it. We had some conversations on the floor about addressing some issues, and I'm sure we can find solutions to those issues. But unfortunately, as all of you know, when it got to the Senate and the House-Senate conference, we had some resistance from folks on the Senate side, and so we were not able to get everything we wanted. So it's time to come back and finish the job, and with your help, I'm confident we can get the job done, because, as I said, you know, when you're fighting for a principle as simple as the one that we're fighting for, which is that, you know, let's make sure people don't get punished for telling the truth, I'm confident at the end that we will win this battle. So thank you for the award, but more importantly, thank you for everything that you're doing to fight this very important fight, and let's finish the job and win. Thank you.